Faith Matters, an interactive program brought to you by MTA International.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another edition of Faith Matters, an interactive program where you, the viewers, ask questions of our panel here on issues of religion, faith, contemporary issues, philosophical subjects or any other question which may arise in your mind. And I'm delighted once again that we've been inundated with questions over the email and indeed the fax ranging over a wide range of issues. Just as a reminder for those wishing to write in, the email you need is faithmatters@mta.tv, and the fax number for those of you resorting to the fax machine, it's UK 44 208 687 8037. And with that, I wish to extend a very warm Assalamu alaikum and welcome to my distinguished panel here with me. First of all, welcome Assalamu alaikum Mazhar Hanif Sahib. He is a missionary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in the United States, covering the southwest region of the US. Next to him seated is the missionary in charge, Imam Mahdi Sahib from Canada. Welcome, Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks,
Sahib. And to his right is Tahir Selvi Sahib, our missionary in the northeast region of the United Kingdom. Assalamu alaikum, Tahir Selvi Sahib. Well, gentlemen, welcome to Faith Matters. We have a whole raft of different questions to go through yet again today, and let's kick straight off. There's one which we've got from Asma Siddiqui Sahiba from London. Jazakallah for your question, and it is quite a simple question, but I also think it'll probably require quite a detailed answer. But the question is from a non-Ahmadi friend of hers who says that if the Imam Mahdi has come, why has Islam not flourished and become the most powerful religion in the world? Could you kindly explain? Mazhar Hanif Sahib.
Yes, it's an excellent question. And I imagine it's not only on the minds of Muslims, but it would be on the minds of anyone who believes that the person whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has designated as the Imam of this time to usher in an era of peace,
yes,
to reestablish an order of justice in the world, and to create a world where people are and lovers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and lovers of each other. And in this, we're talking about establishing the period after the coming of Imam al-Mahdi. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about a Muslim government being established in a nation. We're not talking about Muslims who are in impoverished nations overnight becoming the superpowers of the world. For in fact, this is exactly what Hazrat Isa Jesus Christ faced when he appeared to the Jews during the time when they were under Roman domination.
Indeed.
They expected that their Messiah, their Mashiach, would come and remove from them the yoke of this foreign domination, the Roman Empire.
Okay.
They anticipated that he would come as a warrior in the spirit of Hazrat David alayhi salam. And he would begin this holy war that would break the Romans and establish them as the rulers.
That was the expectation.
That was the expectations of the Jews of the time.
Okay.
And it was so taken literally to heart when Hazrat Isa alayhi salam appeared, a very simple prophet from Nazareth, coming from this small village with his simple skills as a carpenter and his peaceful message of love and turning away from a desire to hanker after this world, saying my kingdom has nothing to do with dominating this world or regaining this world. I have come to establish a spiritual order. We know what reaction was created and what response he received from the Jews at the time.
Well, he was rejected.
He was rejected.
Yeah.
And they could not see that the order he wanted to establish was somehow going to be established by the methodology he was preaching. Peace and love and pacifism as opposed to militarism. And so you had groups like the Zealots, who were like the Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and the other groups of his day, who wanted war, and fight and destroy and recapture. And they couldn't see it happening. History proves he was right.
Indeed.
And yet history proves it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in a decade, a century. It took 3 long centuries before the Messiah sent to the Mosaic order finally established the peace, the prosperity, the kingdom of the Christians when the Roman government, who they couldn't beat through military means, finally caved in and accepted his teachings and began to promote them throughout the world. One may say that at that point it was no longer the Christianity taught by Christ, but that's another debate.
Discussion. But the fact was the barriers were there. There was this very powerful ruling.
Exactly, and it took time, which is the issue. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow progression. This is always the case when God sends either prophets or those who come to reform and rekindle and revive the message of the prophets. So the clear case here is in the case of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, the lawbearer. When his Messiah appeared, it took 3 centuries. Surprisingly enough, Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salam, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadian, when he appeared, he says the same thing. It'll take 3 centuries basically for my message to take root in the world. And we have just covered 1 century of that message and that mission, and we're already seeing the signs of how it is doing exactly what Asma Siddiqui Sahaba desires, or her friend has desired, to create a foundation from which we'll usher in the world of peace, because the members of this community are peace-loving.
Indeed.
They are focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the main aim and purpose of life. They are focused to be humane people, to be loving, to be those of a high order of brotherhood as the early Muslims were, and to establish justice in economic affairs and political affairs, etc. This is happening in the Jamaat. It's unfolding slowly again, but he says within these 3 centuries we'll see more and more signs of this era manifesting itself. So one has to merely wait slowly for this to happen, and be patient. For even in the greatest messenger, which is the last point I would raise, before others may chime in here, even the greatest messenger, who we all in Muslims say was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was unable to bring about this sudden change. You know, the Quran mentions the sa'a, the time when there will be a dramatic change. You know, it mentions that he received the prophecy while in Mecca.
Of course.
The sa'a, the period when there will be dramatic change, is very near. But still he had to migrate from Mecca and go to Medina and wait a number of more years, undergo battles. After he came back to Mecca and he had his victories, still they had to struggle to first unify Arabia, then spread out in decades to come to other parts of the land. And it took decades before you see a real sign of an Islamic kingdom being established.
Indeed.
So this is the period.